Okay. The man is back. I don't even know how many times you've been on this podcast at this point, a kabillion. But
Yeah,
my man, Pana, you have an announcement to make.
yeah. Um, it's been some months. I've been really thinking a lot about it. Um, and I think sometimes when I don't want to say the whole powerlifting world wants something, but yeah, man, people, my body, myself, um, I think it's finally time to move up to the 74s. And for that reason, I won't be competing during the 2025 World Games.
Okay, so me and you have talked about this. This is
Yeah,
pretty big news. Obviously, Russell or he has just done the exact same thing. He
yeah,
pulled out of World Games. He was going and he pulled out of World Games and said, my body is telling me 93. You're done with 83. And you guys both, you were a long-standing 66, done incredible things at 66. Same with him at 83, done incredible things at 83. And he had World Games, but it had to be as an 83, could not be as a 93. And he made the tough decision and said, I'm going 93. I'm listening to my body. Look what he just did. And
yeah,
look at how that decision goes. And for you, me and you talked about this, setting up this podcast, um, before we even seen what Russell did. And I was saying how, look at Russell's making the same decision. Could you hang in there for just one more and do one more event at World Games? And Russell was probably thinking the same thing to himself, had the same conversation. Could I do one more? One more. And ultimately he decided not worth it. Not worth it. So you said you were listening to the podcast we did about weight cutting that just dropped on King of the Lifts. And to give people a bit of an idea, background on why you might make this decision. Because it's easy for people to be like, well, just do one more, Panda. Just one more is a 66, but they don't realize what's going on with your body and how it's not getting better, it's getting worse. I'm not going to have a better showing at 66. I might have worse. I might be regressing. My body might be, it's getting harder and harder to make these cuts. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit and then we'll talk about World Games.
yeah. I think there's a very, very good example of that situation, and it's Kjell. When he was 70 something kilos, like 71, 72, he was doing like close to 800. And then
Yeah.
Sheffield, he did 770, which is, obviously like massive performance, probably the best male performance from the past year, I would say, at least so far, obviously. And then from that 770, he dropped to 730, 732, I think, during Worlds. So as you can see, he went from 872, uh, 770, 66, and then because he wanted to stay 66 for Worlds, he dropped to 730. And who knows, maybe he does another Worlds next year with the same like quote unquote problems you face when you're in like an extreme caloric deficit, then maybe who knows, he's at 715, 720 next year. Um, the main difference I would say between Kiel and myself is the height difference. Like I'm much taller, like I'm probably the tallest 66. And the thing is, I've been doing this for a very long time. My first ever Worlds at the 66 was 2019. So it's like almost 5 years, not counting the COVID year. And up until that point, I didn't have any other plan in my mind. I was like, I want to stay 66 because back then, I didn't have the same muscle mass. I wasn't as lean as I am right now, cutting weight and stuff like that. And also, like years and years of extreme weight cuts. I think just took a toll on my body, to be just completely honest. Um, I'm also competing very, very often. Like this year is the first time I'm not competing every other 2 to 3 months, I would say. And every time, like I think there was a year in 2023 where I did almost 7 meets or six, I can't remember, at 66. And every time, like weight cutting, cutting the calories. the water cut, all of that. And yeah, I think at some point you just have to accept the reality. And the reality is that I've been holding my body and my probably even my strength for a long time. Obviously, I think I did have some success, two world titles under my belt and a couple of good wars with other 66s, like probably the best 66 in the world. And yeah, I think right now my body and my mind also is telling me there is maybe something else to chase and not putting any restrictions on myself anymore and just seeing how big and how strong I can get without having weeks and weeks eating 1,500 calories on and on and on.
So, yeah, Shell, good point in terms of Shell actually said. So he did 770. I think he did 742 at Worlds, but I know what you mean where the
I
drop,
think it
he
was,
said
was it a little bit, I think it was lower, no?
it might have, let's pull it up just to make sure
Yeah.
people will be
Yeah.
fact checkers. People are gonna fact
If,
check the shit out of us.
yeah.
You're 2 kilos off. They'll be like, excuse me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If I'm 10 kilos, they'll be like, "Oh, you're hating." Uh,
Let me
wait.
see.
I think I have it. Yeah, I have it. Oh no, you're right. You're correct. So it's 742. My
Yeah.
bad.
Point, I mean,
742.
exact same point, anyways, though, where you had said, and he came on the podcast and said, it's getting harder and harder, not easier and easier. It's getting worse and worse. It's getting a diminishing gains to the point where he has to try harder to make 66 and his strength is going down. It's not leveling off. It's not going up. And he's like, what are we doing here? And you saying you eat 1,500 calories is insane. You're a strength athlete. That is so little. I mean, so I'm telling you, I mean, me and you talked offline, but my girl's a 52. 52. She's a small woman and she eats like 500 calories more than you or something. Like
Yeah.
you are eating so little to make
But
66. You're
you know,
yeah,
I
go
I
ahead.
I want to say that as an athlete, you have to make sacrifices. I would believe that an athlete's life is all about sacrifices. Like you cannot go party with your friends. Sometimes you might not be available for like family dinner because you need to count your calories and stuff. So it's just that because that's been my life, like extreme weight cuts, extreme low calories, etc., for years and years. In my head, it wasn't something out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? It's just as an athlete, hey, that's what you have to do. But then, obviously, when I realized that sometimes I was eating as many calories as Steve was eating, and you know, year after year, at some point, you realize, hey, I might be restraining myself like probably much more than I think or than I would like to admit because like I love the confrontation. I love when things are hard because I think that's really what builds character and when something is hard to achieve or to obtain, it means it's valuable. But then I don't know, maybe along the way I accepted too much for my own good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, look, it's sacrifice is huge. Sacrifices and discipline. 100% I'm with you. That's what athletes have to do. But 1,500, 100% will be a testament to your discipline and a testament to how badly you want it. But there's no question your body is not even
Yeah.
close to performing at 100% with 1,500 calories. That's insane. To be a
Yeah.
strength athlete eating so little, you are not seeing what your body's capable of. And, drawing parallels back to Russ, who's a multiple time world champ like yourself. And he, back in the day, went to South Korea and he
Yeah, I
just
remember.
didn't cut. And his immediately his total shot up like 40 kilos. And yourself at Worlds, last time we saw you at Worlds, you did 707 and a half and like the best battle we'd have ever seen, right? All you guys tied on total and it's split on body weight, phenomenal showing, whatever. Um, then later on, you just didn't cut. You didn't bulk. You were still under 70 kilos. You just didn't do the final water cut. And all of a sudden your total is 730 for a meet you didn't prep. You didn't like peak like obviously you would Worlds. You didn't, you just were like, hey, let me see. And you bump from 707 to 730, a 22
Yeah.
and a half kilo bump from not water cutting at the end. And it's very close parallels to Russ. He's a couple of weight classes up, so his bump is going to be more, but indications of, hey, your body's telling you you're killing yourself. So what happens? It begs the question, what happens if you not only not cut, but you actually eat and grow and see what's up? And if you're paralleling with the gains that Russ gets, oh my gosh, like Russ just right off the hop broke the world record. Now I'm saying you're going to do that. You got Perk, you got the pound for pound king, a 74 kilo class up, but it's not really about the other guys. It's not really about the other 74s. It's more about you in finding out, hey, what happens if I stop eating like I'm a 47 and I just get as big and strong as possible? What does that look like? What does
Yeah.
that look like? And
Yeah. I think, like you said, right now, obviously me announcing I'm moving up, it's not about hey, I'm going to do like world record total next time I compete. It's not about that. Um, it's more so, like you said, about not putting limits on myself anymore and seeing how strong I can really get. I'm not gonna lie. My goal is still to compete at Worlds. Um, Obviously, one weight class up, things will be much more complicated in terms of like qualifying total, in terms of podiuming and stuff like that. That still remains my goal. But let's say I'm leaving myself a bit more time in order to accomplish that goal. Um, I'll try to grow and I'll try to get stronger as fast as I possibly can. But I'm okay if that takes a little more time to just, fulfill my frame and see what I can do. It's really about, developing myself and growing as much as I possibly can. Um, but deep down, I'm a competitor. I won't settle for eighth at world or whatever, even if it's an upper weight class, even if the totals are much higher, even if there's like perk in this weight class, whatever. My goal is to be as strong and as competitive as I possibly can. So, but yeah, it will be first. Let me fill out this frame. I would like to go to 76, 77 kilos, which is right now a solid like 5 kilos, six even above what I currently weigh. So it's almost 10% of my body fat that I have to put on, which will be hard for me because, all of those years I've been not eating a lot, etc. And that creates habits, obviously. But yeah, I really want to see with those 10% more of body weight and muscle mass, um, what kind of monster I can become.
and the longer you're 74, the stronger you're going to be. You're 30 years old now.
Yeah,
So right now, you just give yourself like initially you'll see initial bump. You already saw a bump when you just didn't do the final water cut. You already were
yeah.
like 730. So if you're actually a bigger human, then don't do the water cut. You're gonna get a bump. We'll see where that is. That'll be fun. That'll be nice to see. But on top of that, like the first year where you give yourself a year of eating 2,000 calories or more, it's the muscle's a lot. You heard the podcast. They talked to Kedrick and Eric, who are brilliant. We're talking about it takes time to develop muscle. It's actually the long game. So initially you see a bump because you're no longer depleted and you'll feel better immediately. And we'll talk about your future and when we're going to see that. And then by the time next year, nationals, worlds, blah blah blah, then we'll start seeing some real, what we're really playing with when the muscle mass starts piling on. And by the time you're like 33 years old, I mean, you could be a whole nother monster. You can be an entirely different human being.
It's funny because I can't remember, like probably 3, 4 weeks ago, something like that. Russ posted like a deadlift, and on the video he posted, he looked like huge. He was a fridge, basically. And I commented under it and I said, bro decided to become a fridge or something along those lines. And then somebody replied, your turn next. And I was like, ah. Yeah, why not, man? Yeah, why not? I would
Let's
like
go
for
fridge,
people
man.
to say, "Hey, Pana, you became fridge," that would be cool.
You were telling me how um after the last meet you were bulking a little, and this will give perspective to people, and feeling extremely strong. And you're like, holy shit. Let's talk about that. Tell me about the body weight you're at. And then how leading into world games, you're like, all right, if I'm going to do world games, I better start cutting. And then just like Kjell, like you had said, it was way worse than previous. You were like, well, probably have a bit of a strength dip, shouldn't be too crazy. You're like, if I can just maintain the strength levels I feel now at around 70 kilos, if I could just maintain that, bring that into world games. But you said your body, like as you're 30 years old now, entering your 30s, and the muscle mass you've accumulated while going to the gym for years, smashing weights, you're going to keep accumulating muscle mass. You finally tipped over, where this time when you started cutting, your body much harsher, the strength levels dropped much harsher, and your body, it did not, it was probably the worst yet. Maybe let people know, because you were telling me how, like, man, I thought, oh man, this is gonna be a great performance, and because I've never been stronger, and your body's
Yeah.
like, for this one was like, hey, not this time, Playboy.
Yeah, so like you said, I think around right after Sheffield, I was like, okay, seeing what Kjell did, he was 70, obviously he was 74 initially and totaling 828, something like that. And then cut it down 66 and maintain 770. And I was like, if I can grow my baseline, even if I take a dip with the water cut, with the weight cut and all of that, I will still be stronger than I was initially. So because I had more time towards the World Games, I was like, let's try something along those lines. So I decided to slowly build my way up, fill my calories, and around end of May, early June, I had like the end of my block, and it was like a RP9 end of block day. So going for like heavy weights, and I was able to squat 270, which is um, my one Raymond squats, like my best squat ever. And I was able to do it RP 8.5. So I probably had at least five, maybe 10. But yeah, on that day, I think I was around 275, 280 on squats. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I hit my bench, 185, bench PR, super happy with that. And then on deadlifts, I also hit a PR, but my grip gave up. So actually ended up totaling 745 with a missed like last attempt because of grip issue. But on that day, essentially, I was good for around 750, 760. And I was like, like you said, hey, that's not too bad, like at 71-ish, 72 kilos. If I can, hold on to that strength, maybe I'm good for 725, 730 at 66, which is exactly the plan that I had in mind for the World Games. And then, obviously, I had to lower my calories, but at first, around April, when I moved up to like 71, 72 kilos, I had a bit more fat on my abs. My veins were a bit less apparent and stuff like that. But like when I did this training day, this training session, I was the same body weight, but with like my 68 kilo frame almost. Like I did an accessory where I recorded myself and have veins on my lower back. Like I have veins on my low back. And the problem is when I'm this lean, usually I'm 68 something. And here I was this lean above 70. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to lose a bit of fat, cut a bit of weight, and I'll be good for 66. Now it's almost a full-on uh almost 10% body weight cut, but already shredded, like already very, very low percentage body fat. And obviously I'm a fighter. Like I love the grind. So I was like, hey, this will probably be the worst cut of my life, but it's also maybe the last one as a 66. So might as well go all in. And I tried to do it. And the result was worse and worse and worse. Like as much as I was lowering my calories, lowering like my body weight wasn't dropping anymore, and um, how my body felt in the gym was getting worse and worse and worse. And the thing is, it's also maybe my last dance as 66. And in my opinion, when you're getting ready for, I don't want to say the toughest challenge of your career because I'm not sure World Games would have been that for me, but more so, you want to be able to finish on a high note. Like you don't want to go um, in there thinking, I'm not sure how it's going to pan out for me. And all of those things led me to realizing that, it's probably just my body telling me, you know, can't do it anymore.
Your body said the last dance you had, that was your last dance.
Yeah,
Right? And sometimes, you know what? It's better to find out in between before you do it than too late. When you show up, you make weight and you're like, I hate him. I feel like garbage. Like this is
yeah,
way worse. This is going to be horrific, and you really get upset. You know,
yeah.
if you,
You know,
of
it's, you watch MMA, right?
course,
Yeah, and then you see Tony Ferguson, you're like, man, this has to be the last one. Don't go for another one. You know what I mean? And what's funny is I was like thinking that of Tony Ferguson, and I was like, how can you not realize this is it? Like, you have to do something else. You have to, obviously, for MMA, it's not as easy as it is for us, where you're like, oh, I can move one weight class, two weight classes, here, see how things go, right? Because they take like physical damage and things are completely different. But at some point, I looked in the mirror and I was like, I might be the Tony Ferguson of powerlifting. Like everybody
wasn't
around
that?
me,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
around me that cares about me is like, Pana, stop doing it. Like you're like restraining yourself way too much. And the thing is, I had the reason that I wanted to do that. Um, Up until that point, like I had the reason with my dad. And last year before Worlds, I was like, it's probably the last time my dad is going to see me compete. Because he essentially got a call saying things weren't good at all for him, and it just was a matter of time. And I decided when I knew that it probably would be the last one for my dad. I wanted to win so much, man, so badly, and I wasn't able to do it. I finished third, had maybe the winning pool in my hand, and wasn't able to lock it out. And I think also it's maybe one of the reasons as to why I need something else, because it just reminds me of that failure at that comp. Um, and that on top of everything else we discussed made me realize you're maybe trying to be too tough for your own good.
Mm.
And yeah, essentially that's what's been on my mind those past weeks, and that's what led up to this decision of not competing and just hopping on the next challenge a bit sooner than I would have liked, but um, you know, sometimes accepting to not fight is the fight. At least it is for me. I'm okay with going into a comp like feeling like shit, and you unrack the bar, like Worlds 2022. My last warm up was RP 10, and I was able to do 30 kilos on top of that on the platform because it's that mindset of let's go one more, let's go one more. And yeah, I think right now the fight for me is accepting to not fight this time, and postpone the fight for another time.
To an extent, look, we all make plans, but life doesn't always roll out the way your plans are. And that's
Yeah.
also life teaches you that, right? Life will teach you that. And there's one thing to be said for when one door closes, another one opens. You know, there's something exciting, revigorating about having a new start and saying, this is entirely new. You couldn't even come on here and say like here's the numbers I'm going to hit, here's the path to worlds I'm going to have. Now you're opening up a new chapter and it's like I don't even know myself. I'm interested. I'm
Yeah,
interested what's going to happen. What does 77 kilo Peno look like? Year one, year two, year three. How quickly does the muscle just pile on? How quickly do the kilos come onto my total? Where does it appear? How does this go? Who in France do I have to face to make the world's team? Is it tougher? Is it easier? When I get the worlds, who's going to be there? And I don't even know. Everything shakes up so quickly. You have no idea. And not knowing is scary because you know what you're giving up. You know you're a world class 66. Now it's like all these question marks. It's scary, but at the same time, it's also exciting. At the same
yeah,
time, not knowing is what makes it, ooh, this is intriguing. One thing you're guaranteed next time we talk, you will be the biggest, strongest version of yourself you've ever been in your life.
yeah,
If nothing else, you get to answer that question. What does the biggest, strongest version of me while I'm at my prime look like? And you will be able to answer that question. You already, how many times there's not a single 66 you've been battled multiple times. Who is it that you're sticking around for?
yeah,
There's,
yeah, yeah. You know, I think um, I associated myself with this weight class.
mm,
Like first world I did horrible, finished fifth. I was like, this can't be it. I have to do more. And then 2021 I win, and then 2022 I'm the favorite, I lose, and then I have to regain that crown in 2023 for my dad, and I'm able to do that. And then I want to keep the crown for 2024. It's maybe my last, the last time my dad sees me compete, and I'm like, I have to win, I have to win, and I don't. And I think essentially I don't see anything else that I can do in this weight class. Like win, I already did it. Lose, I already did it also. So there's not really a lot that um, drives me crazy. When you have that dog in you in the gym, and you grunt the reps, and you're able to unleash like a crazy flow of emotions. I It's been, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe my dad was one of the reason I had that, and now that he's gone, maybe I need to find something else.
mm.
There's that could also be that, but at least right now, I'm interested in seeing what I can accomplish as a 74, and on top of that, it's um, I've always been an underdog, and 74 kg Pana is probably the biggest underdog he's ever been, and I'm like, time to prove some people wrong.
I mean, well, there it is too. Honestly, when you look at your 66 kilo career, you have, you've already have one lost, come back, won again, had the most sensational battle I've ever seen at any Worlds in 2024. You've done, and twice you've been to Sheffield. You've done so much. It is anything you're going to do is you're going to redo.
Yeah,
What do you like? It's already been done. Like close the book, and if you're going to move on, because you're going to start repeating yourself, it's going to start getting. You know what they say where you stick around, you're the hero because you were the underdog. You were, all this. You stick around long enough, you're going to be the villain. You're going to be the guy that
yeah,
people want to be like, I want the new guy to beat him because you've been around
yeah,
forever. You've already done it up. Who's new? Who's the hot new guy? I'm cheering for him to beat the old king because you stuck around. You're just around too long. That's what happened to Taylor at 74. Or
yeah. To
that's what,
Russ
right?
also,
To
and
Russ,
Russ.
to Russ
Yeah,
also. To Russ also. Now that they moved up, and now Taylor's like the old dog going against the young Bornstein, and it's like he's the underdog and he's the old wily veteran, and people are cheering for Taylor all again. All of a sudden, it's cool to cheer for Taylor all over again because he's the older vet that reminds them of years past. He's he's the underdog. And same with Russ moving up. All of a sudden, people are like he's cooked. Before they were like he's cooked, he's done. You're not going to see him again. Russ comes, does what he just did on the weekend, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Russ is back. This is crazy. This is." It gives people new. If you stuck around and keep sticking around, It'll either be the same thing over and over, and people have already heard the story and they're getting tired of hearing the story. And a new guy comes, they're like, let's root for this new guy. Let's see what happens. Now you move up, it'll be like people are going to say, there's no way Penna can go head up with Perk, Ilya. You know, you got guys like Elliot Sykes, young studs coming up who are like, there's killers in 74. The pound for pound king is Perk, and he resides in the 74s. Kjell, there's legends in 74s. So when you move in there, you're the underdog all over again. You're the new guy all over again. And you're the guy who's dreaming the impossible dream, like, well, let me see. Let me just see. I got you. I shouldn't be here. I'm too small. I got you. Good, good. Say all that. Say all that. So when I start doing the things I plan on doing, remember that. Let's start anew. Let's reset this. There's a new chapter. I think like storytelling wise, it's good. As a fan, it's good for yourself to not keep doing the same thing over and over. It's good because if you do the same thing over and over, you're going to lose the passion too. And you were a passion guy. You
Yeah.
need something, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I that's something I experienced when I was like, um, I had a crazy fire in my training sessions like some weeks ago when I was able to do like a very, very strong training day and strong training weeks and all of that. And then when I started to like cut down and do all of those things for World Games, it just started to fade. And I think at some point you can try to artificially create it, but it's not the same. And yeah, I think like you said, it's just time for me to move on. And I would have liked to be able to do that last meet as a 66, and then you know set be free essentially from that. But at the same time, I can't afford to lose time right now because nationals in France is in December. That's when you qualify for Worlds. So if I don't want to sit out a year before being able to compete again internationally, I have to be somewhat ready for French nationals. And given the problem that I always had was I'm maybe too big for the 66, but I can't eat enough to be a good 74. Because obviously to be a good 74, you have to go up to like 76, something like that, and cut back. Um, so right now that would be the challenge for me. But it's a new challenge. Instead of not eating enough, I'll have to try to force myself to eat. It's like the opposite way around. And I just want to see how it will happen, essentially.
Dude, it's going to be freaking great because you were saying, I want to get to World Games. I want to get your impression of the 66s because, like, it's a totally new crew now. Like, here's what's crazy. In the 66s, Shell moved back up, Kasemsand moved down, Kyoto's moving out, you're moving out. Like, so many people are leaving the 66s. It's like a whole new day now. It looks entirely different than it did 2024 Worlds. Again, not to belabor this point, but the best session. It was the best battle I've ever seen in my life commentating, and I've done every one of them since 2016. Phenomenal, and I mean that. And I don't give a shit when nobody says bring me what they think is the best for three of the best in the world. The entire podium, the exact same total, tying on total, and having to split the tie on body weight is at that level insane. Insane. Um, so, anyways, and then even number four, Kyoto, he was like live and in the hunt. He finished off podium, but he brought some flavor to it. He brought some excitement to it because he wasn't the podium and the big stretch. He was in. He was in there.
Yeah.
Joe Jordan was number five. Like all one through five were all killers. Like these are not chumps. Like when you look at it, it was so stacked. And when I look at those guys, all top three are gone. And then, I mean, all of them. And this is 2024, dude. We're only in 2025. None of them are going to be in that weight class anymore. And then even the guy who won 2025, Kjell, is already said, like, yeah, don't bother telling me, asking me about 66, but I'm already gone. He was gone literally that day on the spot. As soon as he won, he told me, I'm done. It's already over. The reign is already over. I'm like, um, it's just the 66s are completely different now. And it's we got to be honest, it's going to take a bit of a hit with yourself, who brings a lot of star power. I did a podcast with Joe Jordan, and he said like it's tough because he said like Pana brought a lot of star power, obviously. Kjell brought a lot of star power, having won Sheffield and like a 66 one Sheffield. But he's gone now, and like he said it's going to be tough with these guys like Kyoto and all them. A lot of people left. Kasemsand was very popular, man, and he left. So he's like, it's a little tough. It's a transition period. What are your thoughts? We'll talk about the 74s in a second, but what are your thoughts on the 66s now that not only you're leaving, but it feels like the band broke up? you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It's I think I'm gonna be honest. I think Kasemsand will probably do what Kjell did, so maybe one or two appearances as a 59 and then move back up if he can do that. So the thing prior to Sheffield, when we did a podcast and I said um, I wanted to wait for Kjell to do what he did before saying, "Oh, that's absolutely crazy." Now that it's done, I can say it. It was crazy, but people I think the problem is with those like big weight cuts. Um, People assume that being successful is the norm, and I would say it's the opposite. Being successful while cutting weight like they did, like Kjell did, or Agatha did, or Evie did, or all of those things, cutting weight this much, this successfully is not the norm. It's the exception.
Mm,
And, obviously when that goes right, then everybody's like, oh, that's the meta and everybody should do that. But when it doesn't go as well, then it's like, oh, you're holding yourself down, you should move up. And I think people at some point have to realize it's one or the other. You can have both. You can, when somebody does that, you're like, oh, he's a genius for doing that. And then when they do it and that doesn't go that way, you're like, oh, they're dummies for doing it. So I think I don't know yet if Kasemsand can do it in 59s. I'm not sure. To the same extent as Kiel, I'm going to say if he's able to do it successfully with a big total, then obviously that's when it counts. But all of this to say, I think Kasemsand will move back up to 66. Um, I'm not sure he's cutting a lot of weight as 66. So he probably has still some growth potential there. And I think if he doesn't compete next year at Worlds at 66, I think the year after is probably his time. And to be quite honest, he's a very complete dude. Like he has a big squat, good bench, and monster deadlift. So I think seeing him as diced and as shredded as he is right now when he's competing 59, if he can replicate that in the 66s, then I think he probably could be around the like Kiel level from these worlds. Not probably not Sheffield level, but probably 730 plus, 740-ish, along those lines, I would say.
You know what? It's interesting you said that because I can't remember who was mentioning this, but they actually said the same thing. They said, okay, I hear you that Kasim saying walks around about 65 kilos. So he thought, I don't even, cap out 66s, let alone cut. Why not cut the 59? But I forget who this was that said this recently on the podcast, but they're like, that if I heard that, I would say instead of cutting the 59, why don't you bulk to 67, 68 and cut to 66? Nothing crazy. But why
Yeah,
aren't we talking about filling out 66? You're all I'm hearing is there's room to grow. All I'm
yeah,
hearing is there's more meat on the bone. You can grow as a 66. However, I'm not I'm not against the 59 kilo experiment. Give it another go, see what happens. You've already made the
oh yeah,
sacrifice. If it's there, try it. But I agree with you. It's probably not a long-term play. It's probably win a title, be a two-division world champ. Phenomenal.
yeah,
That's great. That's crazy.
yeah,
And then probably the long term is coming back up and just fill out 66 for real. Fill it out.
yeah. I agree. I think, like you said, it's just you do it like once or twice, and then exactly like Kjell did. You do it, you break the world record, you win one world title, and then you move back up. But essentially, I think what people underestimate is how your body holds up when you're eating not a lot. Like I don't know how many calories Kasemsand is eating. He's a bit shorter than me. Um, so maybe I, I don't know. Maybe he eats 1,500 like I was, maybe more. But essentially, I think the hardest part is being able to train as much as you should be training in order to get stronger or to maintain your strength, recover, and avoid injuries.
Mm.
And all of that with very, very low calories, it's not the best option. And we see a lot of athletes like Kjell, for instance, moving back up. I think Evie also said that World Games is probably her last one at 52, and then she moves back up to 57, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And when you look at all of that, you're like, you have to pause and to like assess what situation you are in. Okay, if I cut back, if I cut down, I may be competing like for podium at Worlds or something like that. And as long as you can do it, then in my opinion, you should. That's what I did actually. And then at some point, if you realize it's not worth the cut anymore, then moving back up is the plan essentially.
Hmm. Yeah, you got to think like I understand the short-term plays, but long-term, and honestly, you got to listen to your body. When you're cutting like crazy, you are more susceptible to injury. I mean, Eric
Oh
Helms and
yeah,
Kedrick were saying your body's depleted. This is going to happen. There's going to be, as long as everything's going right, fine, but you are more susceptible. So when Kasemsand got injured, was he always going to get injured, or was he more susceptible because he's depleted? And
yeah,
for sure, he was a smaller human being when I saw him in Germany for
yeah,
2025 Worlds. No question. He was a
yeah,
smaller human being. So, I mean, I wouldn't say he did a lot of sacrifice. Yeah, don't abandon yet. Let's see what happens. He owes it to himself. World Games, he has the opportunity to not be full 59. So maybe shows up at like 61, 60 and a half. That last kilo and a half is the killer. That last 2 kilos is the killer. You
oh
let
yeah, for
people
sure.
add two like that. That's what'll make or break you, literally. So he's got an opportunity. Test out 60 kilos, point 0.5. And if you feel good, okay. All right. And then go for one more at 59 and see what's up. But after this, when you get what you want to get, you can step back and start thinking about, am I looking at 66? Now, when you look at 74, what the 66s were, the 74s now might be. For a minute, it was just Perk. Like literally, just Perk was the styling on people ahead, quite a bit ahead. But now moving into next year, Kjell is back, Kyoto's moving up, you're moving up, and it's going to take some of you guys some time. Like you have to grow. Kjell was like he's going to be a 74 overnight. Like he was always 74, right? But and I don't know about Kyoto if he's been, he might be on the same path as you, adding body weight. But the 74s are about to have some big stars and big names all over again. If early days for 74s, no question. But is that exciting now when you look at the 74s and the fact that you're sharing the platform with pound for pound king?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's when I decided, that I really wanted to move up and see how strong I could get. And when I saw like, everybody in that weight class, I was like, oh, I have to be much, much, much stronger.
Yeah.
It's not just I'm going to have to gain like 10, 15 kilos on every lift. It's probably more than that. And yeah, it's honestly it's cool. I think it's really, really cool because I don't know if any of like the names you named can, touch Burke in the near future. Like, at some point I think you have to believe in yourself, but you also have to set realistic goals, I think. And within a year there is no shot. Like for Kyoda, who has to fill up, myself, I have to fill up, Kjell, we would have to see how things will go for him. And also knowing that Burke is still rising. So that will be very, very hard. But I think we can have a very, very good battle in in the near future with all the names that you named. And I'll be honest. I saw some stories of Kjell about myself, like some time ago, and I'm like, having a rematch with him at 74. Let's try to see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is exciting for sure. You guys rematching at 74 would be amazing.
Yeah,
And you never know about the future too. When you think about other people too much, you're thinking about things that because you don't have control over other people. Perk in 3 years might be up to an 84, 83, sorry, anyways. Like, you know what I mean? Where people like, well, if you move up, you got to deal with perk. I mean, when I first move up, I'm just thinking about me and feeling
yeah,
out like it'll take 2 years for me to peak at 74. And by the time I'm peaking, is Perk now telling himself, this is like 4 years in a row, I'm 74. I'm actually thinking about leaving anyways. So when you plan on other people, like, oh, should I not? Because Perk is around, Perk might not even be around in 2 years. He's got his own goals. Like when you think about your own path and just be like, what is best for me? It's a lot better because honestly, and same with Shell. Shell is like, look, I'm 36. At Shell at by the time you're peaking at 74, where is Shell at? Where is he thinking? What does he want to do? Everything changes for everybody else. You know what I mean? When you're trying to make plans, that's why I think you're making the right decision. What's best for you? You were even saying initially it's going to be a battle just getting to worlds because you guys got some
oh yeah,
good 74s, and you're like,
yeah.
look, it's not. I'm going to be an undersized 74, and we have some good 74s.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, France obviously has blown up in terms of level and in terms of strength. And, just getting the ticket to Euros Worlds will be a challenge from now on for me. And I'm okay with that. I remember I listened to the podcast you did with like Kedrick and Eric Helms, and they were like, oh, now that Kjell is moving up, maybe Pana is like, oh, I don't want to settle for anything else than a podium or world title, whatever. And I think there's some of that, but I already did that as a 66, and I don't think there's anything new I can do. But on the contrary, like getting to Worlds, podiuming at Worlds in the 74, those things I've never done. So that's probably the biggest challenge that I have right now, getting out of so filling out 74, trying to be as big, as jacked, as strong as I possibly can, trying to beat the other 74s in France, hopefully getting like a spot for Worlds, and from there, podium at Worlds will be my next target, my next goal.
It actually resets everything. You know what it felt like to first represent France at Worlds
Yeah,
and to make it and be like, holy fuck, I made it. Here we go, here we go, here we go. And then you show up and you're like, I'm swinging with the big boys now. Like just feeling it resets it all. You're gonna
yeah,
have to fight just to get on Team France, and you're like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do this year one. This is gonna be tough. Like, and when you
yeah,
make it, you're like, oh my god, like I made it. I made it. Whereas
yeah,
previously it's like expected when you're
yeah,
66. Now you're 74 and you're like, I don't know. This is gonna be a fight. And you get to relive like holy shit, we if you make it on the world team, Euro team, whatever, you're like, we made it. All right, let's see
yeah,
what we're cooking with now. You show up at worlds, you're like, can I make top five the first year? Can I make podium? What are we looking at here? And you're like fighting for every kilo. You get to reset the journey all over again. All of a sudden, it's exciting again.
yeah. I'll be honest, if I don't compete at Worlds next year, I'll be a bit bummed. Um, So my goal is definitely that. My goal is to by December try to be as big as strong as I possibly can, beat the other French 74s, and we have a couple of like very very strong dudes, especially one that's competing at Junior Worlds in August. He's very very strong. Um,
What's his name?
Baltazar.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
He's very strong. He's like he will be very tough to beat, to be 100% honest. And they're going like back and forth with Elliot Sykes on Insta a bit and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Because
it's
Elliot's
funny.
a
It's
monster
funny.
too.
Yeah. So it's very funny, but yeah. So I definitely have a big challenge. So I don't want to be too harsh on myself for my first year as a 74, but at the same time, being a competitor, being like an athlete, you have to be harsh on yourself. So yeah, definitely my goal right now is that. So French nationals, win, get the ticket for Worlds, and then hopefully, like you said, podiuming top five at Worlds, would be like a very, very nice goal.
Let's talk about World Games. Let's talk about the Worlds that just happened. But for anyone who's losing count on what we're looking at World Games here, I pulled this up. Um, Let me pull this up all over again. So, athletes now who have pulled out of World Games, and this is wild. So, America's Jessica Espinal, Wasker Carpio, Megan Scanlon, Timothy Monagati, Austin Perkins, Russell Orhe, Leah Bavois, Agatha Shitko, Cranen Warford, Emil Krastev, Brandon Petrie, Aust- Ashton Rauska, Amanda Lawrence, Alexis Jones, Bob Matthews, Tony Cliff, Jesus Oliveras, Panagiotis Terenides. My friend, all the names I just named are like the biggest stars in powerlifting, and all of them have pulled out of World Games.
Yeah. That hurts, to be honest with you, that hurts because it's the first time it's happening in raw powerlifting. And I think it would have been better for the sport, for all of the names you named, like obviously myself included to compete. But I think at the same time, there is something else. Like when things are less competitive, then you can afford to not be 100% and compete. You know what I mean? But when things get more and more competitive, which right now things are, um, I think you can't afford to compete as much and as often. Um, Especially right now, the turnaround for um, between Worlds and World Games is very, very short. And one very funny thing is on the lightweights, all of the 66s, like excluding me, that are competing at the World Games, none of them did Worlds. Yoda didn't do Worlds. Jonathan Garcia didn't do Worlds. Joe Jordan didn't do Worlds. None of them did Worlds. So, you have a better turnover with like no worlds than you have while doing worlds and on top of that world games. So I think at some point, if you're like world games is very, very important and we want to have the best athletes there, I think finding a way to not have back-to-back world games within like a month and a half of turnover is important, I would say.
Does it make it easier pulling out when you're not the like put it this way, if every single one of those people I just named, and that literally just sounded like we walk down the Hall of Fame and I'm reading plaques off the wall. Like that's crazy. Those people are stars of stars. If all of those people were going and just you weren't going, you'd be like, ah, shit, I'm missing out. But
Yeah.
all of those people I just named said no thank you. And now you're amongst that list. Does it make it a little bit easier?
If I'm answering honestly, no. Um, because, you know, uh, in France, World Games is a big deal to the federation. And because of that, I'm like, I have to represent the federation. I have to represent like the flag. I have to represent France. And no matter who is going, who is not going, like the fact that I'm not going to represent France at the World Games is it's bittersweet to me. So, my honest answer is doesn't does it make it a bit easier? Yes. Does it make it a lot easier? No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'll put it this way. I'm not commentating World Games. They're going to use their own
Oh, that's
people.
much easier. Then I'm good. Then I'm good.
So
Then
thank you for
then I'm
that.
good.
Thank you. That
Then
wasn't
I'm
my
good,
point
you
of
know.
the game, but thank you. Where you're like, well, you didn't say that. You didn't
Yeah,
add your name on that list. That was it. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, that's
That
it.
was
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
What I was gonna say is it makes it, I'm not commentating. It actually makes it easier for me. I'll tell you that right now. Like, if all of the people I just named, including yourself, were going and I'm not
Oh,
commentating, I'd be like,
I,
fucking damn it. But
yeah,
the fact that none of you people are going, including yourself, it makes it a lot easier for me to accept. All right, well, that's fine.
yeah,
Now it's like, I mean, it's crazy who's not going. If all
yeah,
you guys I just named were going, it would be killing me every waking minute. But now when I read the list of all the people who are staying home, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't even know, man. It's a crazy amount of people around. It makes it tons more easy for me to miss it out. I'll tell you that right now. It's
yeah,
how weird is it going to be for people tuning in? None of those people are going. You're used to me doing Worlds and Sheffield, and I'm not commentating. It's going to be entirely different. Everything. It's good. I don't even know what to expect when I watch it. I got to double check who's even still in. There's so
yeah,
many people who dropped out. I don't even know who's still in.
yeah. Yeah, it's not easy, but like I said, I think there's also something where about so if you take Sheffield, like you have to do your nationals. Like I don't know, I think in the US it's like that, and in a lot of countries, if you don't do nationals and win, then there's no international meets for you. So you have to do nationals. Then if you have a regional like Euros or whatever, you have to do that. Then you do Worlds. Then maybe in between you have Sheffield. Now World Games, it's like five very, very big, very, very high expectations meet almost in a row. And that's not easy, man. That's definitely not easy. And especially when you have fierce battles every time you step foot on the platform. Um, so yeah, like I said, I think that's maybe one of the main reasons as to why so many people are missing out on this event. And like I said, it's not easy, but at the same time, you also have to do what's right for you as an athlete. And for whatever reason, all of the names you named decided not to do it because they thought that's not the best interest for them.
It is what it is. I mean, World Games is so big and they have so many events, like so many sporting events. You wonder how much attention they're paying to powerlifting, and even if they're even fully aware of how many of our sports stars are not going. Because
Yeah,
maybe they're not even aware, and due to that, they're not going to be fully uh thinking about if there's any changes they need to make, if there's any like they might not even be looking at this that deeply. Are they fully
yeah,
aware of just how many big, massive stars have said thank you, but no thank you? And if they're, if it even, if they care to, I don't know. They have so many different events. You hope, you hope, like, well, people who are working on it will do a deep dive and start finding out who was who and who went, who didn't go, and what is going on here. How do we lose like half of our roster just like that? How did that happen? Or do they have too many events where this is the equivalent of it's just too much going on where it's like, okay, got you, but we have some major flagship sports that are going to carry the event anyways. We can't divert too much attention to this. It just wouldn't make sense, which I get as well. I'm not saying they have to. I just wonder.
yeah. It's hard. I did get like 2 to 3 messages from people organizing the World Games and sending me a message being like, "Oh, we're excited to welcome you in Chengdu. If you need anything, let us know." All of that. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Who knows? Maybe we did have the biggest stars out of all of these sports. Who knows?
I'm telling you, people I just named,
Yeah,
if you look at any of their other sports, you want to add up all their followings, the
yeah,
biggest
yeah,
stars from these other sports, then you
yeah,
let us take all of our people I just named and add all their followings. And there was like, what is it, like fucking a dozen people I just named? Like
yeah, yeah,
from Jesus Oliveris, yourself, Russ, Leah, to whatever.
yeah,
You
yeah,
name, you let us grab our followings, you grab their followings from whatever other sports you have. I wonder who's got the bigger followings and who will pull in the bigger views, etc. I wonder if we were
yeah.
to do like that. Give me your top 10. I'll give you our top 10, and let's go toe to toe and let's see. I
Yeah,
would.
100%. Also, if you look at like the Sheffield replay, like from this year, from the year before, those are some really, really big numbers. I think right now, powerlifting, obviously I don't know all of the sports at the World Games, but powerlifting probably has to be one of the sports with, at least in terms of online presence, like YouTube, Insta, whatever, probably the biggest presence, I would say. Like off the top of my head, I can't think of a sport with this much like involvement, I would say.
I don't know, buddy, but they won't be back for another 4 years, anyways. Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? We'll
Yeah.
see how what all shakes up. What was your impression of this year's Worlds? Man, it was freaking different without you, Leah. Like it was crazy. It felt weird not
Yeah.
having you guys there. It was a totally different thing. What was it like? Did you watch it? What were you watching it?
So I'll be honest. So I watched the weight classes that I was coaching athletes. So Tiff, obviously, in the 52s, I'm coaching Farhana. She has the deadlift world record, so I was watching her,
Yeah,
obviously. Sovan. But and obviously we have like some French athletes that I'm friends with and I support, like Coco, and obviously. So I watched those sessions, but because so I decided not to compete in order, to be able to be heavier and have a better prep for World Games and all of that. Um, and so I was getting the itch, watching it. So I'm like, I was trying not to watch it, and I was just watching these sessions that, uh, I had either athletes that I coach or people that I care about that I wanted to support. Um, But yeah, this year was different. And like I said, I haven't been really public about it, but this year has been probably one of the worst year of my life. So I went internal on a lot of things this year. Um, like I said, the situation with my dad was very, very rough. And then, realizing that uh a lot of things changed for me this year. So that's maybe one of the reasons as to why.
I mean, it was from personal life with your father to uh the sport powerlifting not being there at Worlds to like, this is a totally different year for you.
Yeah.
Entirely different year for you.
When like I said, 2024, I had this goal. Like I wanted to do it for my dad. So I had this motivation, I had this passion, and there was nothing else. And then when he left, I for a moment I didn't know what to do. I was like, I was training these years, at least these past years, I was training to like make him proud and pick up his battle against cancer and then when he left, then at some point I didn't really know why I was doing it anymore. So yeah, this year has been a roller coaster of emotions for me. And then I got to Sheffield and that was crazy. Uh but then that wasn't a good day for me. So I felt almost as if I disappointed him. So yeah, that's I chew a lot this year. I chew a lot, probably a lot more than I could beat, but that's how it is sometimes.
Is that why maybe a 74 kilo pathway, like the new beginning, kind of helps mentally to turn a new leaf?
Maybe maybe I think maybe I was afraid that not only like did I lose my dad, but I lost what was one of my biggest motivations to compete. At least those past years. Um, yeah, so maybe that's why I also need something new. And I'll obviously always think about him, and I'll always try to make him proud and represent the last name that he gave me, but maybe yeah, maybe I needed a fresh start. I don't know.
I'm telling you right now, Malta 2023, that moment ain't dog.
Yeah.
If you live a thousand, here's the thing, like you can't life will teach you when you have that a moment like that, and that moment was as special a moment as you'll ever have. I mean, the full story. If anyone ever did like a special on this, a Netflix special or a freaking even whatever, when you were nominated, I think you were nominated either fourth or fifth. It was off podium. You were off podium. You came on King of the List before, and your father was ill, and you said, I am going to win the world title. I'm going to do it for my dad. And I knew what your dad was facing. Time was fleeting. And I'm thinking, holy shit, Penna, the goal you set ahead of time for the world to see. And I'm thinking in my head, my God, if he doesn't do it, he's going to tear himself to pieces. And I'm like, live, if you listen to the podcast live on the podcast, I'm like, but he'll be proud of you no matter what. But he'll be,
Yeah.
I'm trying like a friend. I'm like, fuck, I just don't want him to. I'm trying to
Yeah.
help. And you're like, no, 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 no. It's gonna be a win. I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna do this. Don't worry. And you look at that nominations, and you're not first, you're not second, you're not third, you're fourth or fifth. You're off podium, and they're killers in there. And what you did that moment when you won the 2023 World Championship, reclaimed it after the year you had in 2022, which was bombing out at Euros, off podium at Worlds. You lost every title. You had every title, French, the national to European to Worlds in 2021. You lost them all in 2022. For you to come back in 2023, and the moment you had when you first off, it shows you watching in the back, and you captured the moment when you realized you became a world champion, and then you running into the crowd to meet your father in the crowd, and the crowd was in bleachers and they were going crazy for you. And you that moment, and your dad's crying and you're crying, you're hugging, you don't get to replicate these moments in life. Like that's yours. But it doesn't happen again. It'll be different now. And it's beautiful and it's hurtful at the same time. That's what life is. It's finite. You can't redo them. That's what makes these moments so special. We want them forever. We're like, I want that again. I want that moment again. You can't though. That's what makes that moment though at the same time. What makes that moment beautiful. And you can't replicate them. And while 2024 was a beautiful battle, you're not going to keep being able to. But life will also teach you as time goes by, you will have other moments. It just won't be that moment. You will have other moments in life. You will have other beautiful moments in life, and you can't even see what they're about to be. It's yet written. You can't redo. You can't go back. And this is a transition for you. Period. That you're dealing with, and that's why it's all right to like go forward. But like, I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know what's going on here. Just let it happen, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, like 2023, when I won Worlds this year, I didn't sleep for like almost 48 hours. Like I was living a dream, like with my dad, and giving him strength with that, and he was sending me messages, like it's. And then 2024 was, um, well, so my dad was, um, he was sicker in 2024 than he was in 2023. Like 2023 was when he came, things were better for him. He wasn't like 100%, but things were better. And like in 2024, so what happened was he he ended up having like bone cancer, and bone cancer is, it's over. It's just really a matter of time. And so I learned that he had bone cancer. I think I can't remember if it was just before or just after Sheffield this year. So 2020, Sheffield 2024? Yeah, 2024. And, again, so I didn't want to make the same mistakes that I did in 2022. And I decided to do the right things and be there for him and all of that. Um, and when so he came to see me compete at Worlds 2024. Um, and initially he needed to he was supposed to land a certain day and he didn't land. And we started getting worried and we called and see what was going on. And so he had missed his flight because he didn't have enough energy to essentially go to the airport and take the plane from Greece. So, I was like, it's like he probably won't be able to be here because of his health, and that's fine. He'll watch me live, and so my aunt, who he was living at my aunt's place in Greece, um, and so she said he was sleeping like for almost a week, no energy. He was just sleeping, sleeping, and then the last day, he was able to take the plane and still land in time to see me compete. The last day, he got up and he took the plane. And so, my aunt told me that story afterwards, right? And and I was like, I'll make it happen for him once more. Just that last time, and then I'm set. Then I'm good. Then and it didn't happen. So that's why it was a tough time for me. And then I think it was maybe probably a month and a half later that he passed away. And yeah, man, this year everything I did was a fight. Everything. Like doing nationals after that, like nationals was in September. I lost my dad in like I think it was August. Man, that was rough. Like so when he died, I was training, yeah, when he died. So my mom called me and it was the end of my block, so I had to do like big lifts and stuff like that. So I finished squats. She called me. She tells me, like your dad just, and I had to finish my training session. Like I couldn't, I had to finish my training session because I had French nationals and I needed to win and I wanted to unofficially break the world record to maybe get a wild card for Sheffield and all of those things were in my head. And I was like, I can't, I can't give up right now. That's not what he told me. That's not what he would have liked me to do. So I did it. And then after nationals, there was like the Sheffield, reserve spot that I got. And so I was like, I have to train. And then Sheffield, and then this, and then that. And, you know, throughout this year, I just had so much thrown at me. And every time I took the challenge, every time. And I think at some point, things catch up eventually. And I think what happens right now is all of these past year is crumbling up on me, and I'm just realizing I need something else. I need another reason, essentially. So, yeah, so maybe that's also one of the reasons as to why I'm trying to look away from the 66. I don't know.
It totally makes sense when you said when you found out you wanted to keep pushing and then like you're it's a distraction to keep yourself busy, to give yourself something,
Yeah,
keep moving. And then it also makes sense now when you say it caught up to me because after Sheffield, you thought, let me refocus, let me do world games, and when you shifted and decided I'm not, now it's gonna get now is the downtime. And it's this, but it's gonna come. It's okay. Like you're gonna have to deal with it when you're supposed to deal with it. And there is no timeline on these things. There is no way of dealing with it. People can tell you advice or everybody's different. Everything
yeah,
it's gonna come for all of us at some point in life, period. We're all promised this. And how you deal with it, totally different for everybody. And there is no right way, there is no wrong way, there's no timeline. And to a large extent, um, what happened in 2024 shows you how special 2023 was. You
Yeah.
can't, the fact that you can't always call your shots. It's not how life works. If you could, those moments when it actually happens wouldn't be as special. If you could just keep calling your shots. But that's what made 2023 so special. It's the humbleness of knowing life does not give a shit about your plans or whatever. Life doesn't care. It's how harsh life is, which makes 2023 so impossible that it happened. It actually doubles down on 2023. That
Yeah.
should not have happened. Do you understand? Life doesn't give a shit. It's harsh. It's cruel. It's not a romance novel. And 2023 happened. It just shows you that how crazy it is it even happened. You got a choice. You could cry that it's over or be happy that it happened. My
Yeah.
friend, it's the wildest. It's the wildest what you were able to do while your dad was there and what you gave. I mean, so you couldn't replicate it over and over. It shouldn't have happened in the beginning. Nobody gets to give that to their dad. Nobody has
Yeah.
these moments. Nobody has
Yeah.
those moments. They're just regular people going about their life. You had a crazy moment. And that's it. Just like I had said about like no one can ever take any of this away. You know, nobody you guys had a beautiful moment there. And yeah, right now you're on the in between
Yeah.
in your private life, your powerlifting career. It's funny how those parallel with you, but maybe it's not a coincidence. But right now you're an in between in life and you're an in between in your career. And right now, as a whole, it probably feels a little scary in general because everything's new to you now. There is no comfort of everything's changing now around you. And like all of this feels different. And that's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But it's also where some growth is going to happen. You just now you're 30, you just hit your 30s, you march forward in your private life differently, you're marching forward in your career differently. And it's the first year is going to feel a little weird, but freaking who life will have tough and beautiful. You know, there's more beautiful moments to come. You just can't foresee what does this look like? What is
Yeah.
it life like now?
Yeah. Like if there's something my dad told me, especially those past years, it's everything's a fight. And everything, like and especially the worst fights are going to happen when you don't want them to happen. Like you're not expecting them, and all of a sudden it's here, and you have no choice. Like you have to face the fight or quit, essentially. And I think that's just that moment for me right now. It's a new fight that's ahead of me, and now I'll know what I'm truly made of. Once I face that fight and I give it my absolute best, see the result, and that's where I'll know what I'm made of. So it took me, I didn't talk about it publicly about my dad because it took me a whole year to just face that reality that, he's not here anymore with me. Um, and to the same extent that I wanted to dedicate Worlds 2023 to him and win, I want to dedicate the rest of my lifting career to him also. And, you know, it's a new fight, probably the biggest one of my career so far, and I'll be ready to take it on.
Can this second half is going to be a wild ride. And we had already talked about it. Again, throwing back to Kjell, if we use him as a marker, Kjell was 36 when he moved down. You're 30. I mean, you could always come back in like half a decade from now, which is forever, which is forever. Dude, half a decade? What had you accomplished half a decade ago at 2020? You hadn't done any of this. A lot can happen in 5 years. In half a decade, you can always be like, you know what? I'm going back to 66. No one says you can't. You can always go back.
Yeah,
Kjell dropped that 35, 36. So whatever. You could do whatever the hell you want. You'd be crazy not to give this a go and see what happens.
yeah, yeah. Like you said, there's a lot of things can happen, but yeah, right now I really want to focus on 74, see what I can do,
Mm.
try to fulfill my potential there, and from there we see definitely.
What were you thinking also about Worlds? You know, this was a bit of a down year for Worlds for France. You and Leah weren't there. Um, I don't think France had a world champion this year. Does France rally back?
No,
I don't think we. This was the
no,
toughest year that France has had
yeah,
in recent memory. And France is a powerhouse in powerlifting. We all know this. Does France rally back? Is this a transition year for France in general? And some of it wasn't just a transition year. Some of it was just bad timing. Bad timing for Leah was going through injuries, etc. Yourself, you're transitioning, but bad timing for Jacob. Bad. Some of it is just like timing wise ended up difficult. Coco had a rough one. Even though he's peaked, he's like we saw him at Euros. He's as
yeah.
good as he's ever been. It had an off day. So, off days can happen. Is it just a bad amount of a bunch of different off days in bad circumstances? Or is it a transition where France has got new young guns coming up? And what do you think?
I think we definitely have a lot of uh new athletes, especially sorry, juniors coming up. Unfortunately, because juniors is in Costa Rica, it's very expensive, and so France couldn't afford to send a big team. So we won't have a lot of juniors this year at Worlds. So that doesn't really represent like the level of the country in terms of like um, newcomers, I would say, like internationally. And then with the open team, that's exactly what you said. It's really just it's not a whole lot of us, like very, very competitive. So then it's really a matter of timing, personal life, injuries, stuff like that. So hopefully, we all get to say it a bit rough, we all get our shit together and rally back in 2026 next year. But yeah, essentially, I think it just was an off year for us, for Team Friends this year.
What a freaking era you guys strung together, though, huh? With
Yeah,
like, when you look back, here's another thing where um 2025 teaches you how special 2023 was, how special like all of those different years were, where you guys are like grabbing medals and winning titles and etc. And how hard it is to do, and how you need the stars to align for it to happen. And it just doesn't, you anything can happen that could take the whole nation can go off to one side or another, depending on what's going on. Like, you guys have strung together a freaking era. And the picture of you, Tiff, and Leah with the gold medals in your mouth, and how you guys
yeah,
replicated that in 2023 was crazy. That's another reason why Malta was amazing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, hopefully we can replicate that in the coming years. Who knows?
Oh, dog.
We'll
So
try
what
to do it.
what is I seen Leah starting to throw some weights around again. She took a step back, and I'm not trying to apply too much pressure to Leah. I think Leah having no pressure, no timeline helps for her to not worry about it. Like Kaiko talked about that. He had to step way back and just be like, I don't know when the timeline is. I might be gone for a year. I don't know. Let these injuries heal up, address things that he never fully addressed, and then just let it build. And then as it builds and builds, and he's like, okay, we're here again, mark me down. But until then, I don't know. Don't ask me. And I
Yeah.
think Lee is probably somewhere along there.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people don't realize this, but with Leah, we've been on team in Team Friends since 2018. So right now it's almost 7 years. And when it's been 7 years, that every year is like a war. Every year you just kill yourself in the gym, training, sacrifice a lot of things, like time with your loved ones, with your family, with whatever. Sometimes like we say, like we said a bit earlier, things just catch up. And I think that's what happened to Leah, especially this year. and maybe, to an extent to like Tiff and myself, and sometimes things just catch up. And yeah, we've been battling for years and years, having wars, you know, like some that we won, some that we lost, but at some point after 7 years of just constant grind, yeah, sometimes you get a bit tired.
And Leah was in 2019 medaling at Worlds.
Yeah, yeah, I think she
She
did
was
third.
bronze, right? Did she get bronze
Yeah,
or
yeah, I
silver?
think so. I think she was bronze and Noemi was silver, I think.
Yeah. Like you guys were like 2019. Like
Yeah,
it's been a freaking minute every year you guys
yeah,
battling at Worlds. Like for sure. That's why it was weird you guys weren't there. That's
yeah,
why it was so weird to be there. Be like, where the hell is they keep? Also,
yeah.
another
But
moment.
hopefully we're back. Hopefully we're back next year.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah.
Also another moment after you won was when we were in that burger joint and out of nowhere you just stood up and gave a speech and started like it was like a wedding speech. You started thanking people, like stopped and started pointing people out and giving like a little speech like about each individual person, and everyone started clapping afterwards like off the cuff. And then you give a big like look back at the journey, and like I'm picking up pieces of it because it's in French, but I could, and then I seen you like point to me and say like six pack Lapadat, blah blah blah, and I'm like off the cuff, all
Yeah.
off the cuff. And I remember talking to Rory and forget where we were. Oh, he was at Silent Worker and he did commentary with me. And um I remember him talking to me at some point and he was like, why did why did Pena emerge as the leader of the French Revolution and not any how come it was Pena, although like Aaliyah has a massive following, Turbo Tiff has got a million titles, whatever, there's a bunch of people. Why did it Penna? It could be Penna, but why do you think individually it was though? Out of all of them, when like and like Anissa and all them, everything they do for like the federation and meet director, blah blah blah. Like Anissa, you've said a million times, is like the backbone of. If you didn't have Anissa, God knows what would you would not be the same
You,
human.
you know what happened when Russ went to Georgetown, Guyana
That'd
instead
be
of
you every day.
I was about to laugh, and then I thought, oh, if I didn't have Anissa,
Yeah, yeah,
that would be me. That 100% would be me. So I
yeah.
didn't laugh. I didn't laugh.
If you laughed, Anissa would be, what are you laughing at,
Yeah,
Playboy?
yeah, 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 100%,
What are you
100%,
laughing at? But
100%.
so when Rory was asking me, he's like, "Why do you think that is?" And then Rory came to Silent Worker, and then he saw you grab the microphone and stand in front of the crowd, and off the cuff gave a speech, and hundreds of people started like cheering, and like you off the cuff started doing your thing, controlling the crowd, and just it was. And afterwards, he turned to me and said, remember when we had that conversation and I was asking you, how did he become the leader of the French Revolution? He's like, I get it. I get it
Yeah.
now. I'm like, you come to an event in France and you watch what this guy does. And I have not, Russ is like a megastar. I've never seen anybody, Russ Taylor, nobody like is in an American crowd, grabs the mic off the cuff and just has everybody. Like it just, I've never seen anybody, period, do that. And he was like, holy shit. I go, I told you, man. It's not even close. It's not even close.
I think, I think the thing is, because I had like wins and then losses and then wins and then losses. I think people can relate to that because, like we said, it's much more common for people to do something good and then they mess up and then they do something good and then they mess up. And when you compare that to, for example, like Taylor's path, those past years, he was winning all the time every year. Same with Russ, and maybe that's one of the reasons as to why people can relate a bit more to my story than theirs because mine is much more common, quote unquote. You know what I mean? It's not just I was the best 83 for 5 years in a row, and then. So I don't know. Maybe that's. one of the reason as to why. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, I have no clue. I'm just trying to do my thing, trying to show everything to people that hey, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Um, that's pretty much it.
It's I mean, I remember one time being on the podcast with you and you telling me, I wish I was dominant like Russ.
Yeah,
And people were like, I was winning by 20 kilo spreads, and you're coming in and you're like, who's coming in second? Because you know I'm coming in first. You know I'm coming in first. And
yeah.
like, who's if you're picking anyone else, that's a hot pick. That's a hot pick, and you're hoping you want everybody talking about it because nobody believes that pick, and you don't even believe that pick. You know damn well. And it's like you were like, I wish I was that guy. And then now, like ironically, now Russ is kind of in a situation where it's a little closer or whatever. But if that was the case, 2023 wouldn't hit the same. I
Yeah,
mean, 2023 wouldn't exist. The whole reason why 2023 is phenomenal is because you were off podium. You were supposed to be off podium. You were nominated off podium. Like this wasn't supposed. That's why 2023 was 2023. That's what made it so special. Like that's what, and that made Fritz before 2023. You were huge. I mean, you were already a world champ. You were already doing your damn thing. You were already the keep, and there was the three of you with the gold medals in your mouths taking pictures. You were already something, and you were like coaching, like you had already coached all these stars, whatever. But 2023 leveled you up to a level like you remember when you dropped that video. You remember it was like this is blowing up. This is crazy. It was crazy, and the reason why is because it was you were off. You're supposed to, this wasn't supposed to happen. Now
yeah.
when you look back, and I remember telling you at the time, it's better this way, man. Trust me, it's better. And I don't know. Well, how do you feel about it now?
About what, 2023?
About about your career as a 66. Now that we can put that career to a close, how do you feel about like do you wish you were Russell Orhe? Or are you now like, nah, I'm all right with it?
No, yeah, I think I'm all right with it. Everybody has his story, its style, whatever, and I know mine is. I'm going for a battle every time. I would like things to be different, but that's just the way it is, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with like being the underdog. I'm okay with being with like people like maybe not believing in me to a certain extent. I'm okay with that. And then, it's just no matter what, I'm going to fight. No matter what, I'm going to try my absolute best to the very end. And I'm at peace with what I did in 66. Um, like you said, two times world champion. That's I think if you would have told me when I started my career that I would eventually become just at least once, I would be like, oh, that's enough. And I did it twice. So I'm like, I can be too mad about it. And now, in my opinion, is a way I'll be able to like really put a nice stamp on my career as a powerlifter will be to get a podium in the 74 because then I'm like multiple times podium 66, two times world champ. And then if I can also podium in the 74, not a lot of athletes have podiumed in two weight classes, and especially not in a weight class where things are probably a bit tougher, I would say.
Mm.
So that's currently my goal. That's currently the next chapter of my career.
And like Euros and the whole nine. There's a lot of titles that you
Yeah, yeah,
collected
for
at
sure.
66. If you could replicate some of that at 74, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. Also, I have a rematch with Ilya. Uh,
Dude, it's crazy. Ely is emerging again.
like he sent me a message because I don't know if you remember, but he did Euros 2021, and so he was in the 66, and he did 695 or seven, I can't remember, and I did 700 that year, and so. Right now he's crushing it in the 74s, and he sent me a message, and he's like, "Oh, but our score isn't settled yet." And I'm like, come on, man, leave me alone,
Leave me
leave me
alone.
alone. But
He's doing good, huh?
oh yeah, yeah, he's doing. And remember, I told you about him like
I
some
know
years ago.
you told me. You said I
Yeah,
was asking you who's the young guns coming up, and I was naming people, and you're like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's none of those people. It's Ilya that I'm
yeah,
most. And all of a sudden, he's reemerged, and they're competing in the IPF now again, like these Russian lifters, and he could be somebody. He's somebody
oh,
people got to
100%,
watch out for.
100%. And it's I'm talking with him like in the DMs, and every time he's like, "Oh, but we're you got me 1-0, so I want to even the score next time." And I'm like,
Give
so
me
yeah,
time.
I give me some time, but I at some point I'll have to face him. I'll have to face like the other 74s. I'll have to face Kjell, hopefully. And yeah, I want a rematch with Kjell, and I'll have a rematch with Ilya. So yeah, it's right now they're both stronger than I am. But that's how my career started. I was looking up towards guys stronger than I was back then. And so now being you know, have you watched like Pumping Iron with Arnold?
Of course, dog. Of course.
So when they're like, oh, but the wolf on top of the hill is not as hungry as the wolves that are climbing the hill.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm like, back to that right now.
yeah. You're back to climbing. You got
Yeah,
another hill
yeah,
to climb. You were at the top of
yeah,
the other hill. Now you looked over and there's another hill to climb. Okay,
yeah,
let me get my hiking boots on again.
yeah.
Let's go for another tour. Um, do you think at some point Tiff will ever move up?
So there was she was doing some mistakes with her nutrition. And some months ago, she started to work with a nutritionist. And when she did Worlds, it probably was one of her best cuts, weight cuts, but it wasn't enough time since she was working with that nutritionist. So I think she still has, I would say, maybe a year or two in the 47s. But I think at some point, um, she might move up.
I mean, she's young. How old is she now?
24, 25, I think, 24, around that.
Yeah, I mean, at some point in her life, you got to think she's going to eventually, because she's like you eventually did, and at like 30, you're moving up, but eventually she's going to keep lifting weights and keep adding muscle, and eventually, like, all right, we're good. We can go 54, add some more muscle mass, and we're right up in there.
Yeah, I think since like right now she's working with her nutritionist, uh that's um that's actually Coco's girlfriend. She's a nutritionist, so she started working with her and things got much better. Like her training went phenomenally better because before that she wasn't really handling correctly like her calories prior to training, post training and stuff like that. And so they did some work on that and now things like started to work very very well, and now her current prep for World Games is going very well also. Yeah, so I think she definitely has a couple of more years, I would say, but that's an option definitely.
I mean, you never, dude, another world championship would be crazy for her. If she moves up a
Yeah,
weight class to grab another one, I mean,
yeah,
she's already done crazy in the 47s, but can you imagine if she grabs a 52 or a couple 52? That's what everyone's going bonkers about Russ. How crazy is it what Russ just did? I got Russ tomorrow on. How crazy is this? Russ
yeah.
moves up,
S
first one breaks the world record. Clean too. Those
oh
lifts
yeah,
are clean.
yeah, yeah. It definitely was money like on the line with especially the last deadlift. Because then he attempted 360, and obviously at that time, you completed your goal, so it's just for
Yeah.
fun. You don't have the same like urge or will to make the lift, but I definitely believe he was like right on the line, which makes things like very very exciting because um the battle like he didn't get like the wild card right now, but I would assume he will get one with what he did. And then the 93 showdown at Sheffield will be absolutely crazy. Like
Dude,
in my opinion, you give two wild cards. One to is Gustav invited? Did he get like an automatic invite?
gotta double check here. Let me pull this
I'm
up
not
right
sure
now
he
in real
did.
time.
Did he?
I gotta double check now.
I'll check too.
Sheffield
Maybe I get that.
2026. Sheffield 2026 powerlifting. Yeah,
No,
let me.
no,
Not yet.
I don't see him. I don't see him like invite secured.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
We
I don't
got
think
time,
so.
obviously. Obviously,
So
Gustav is going to be
I
at
would
World
say
Games
you give two wild cards, one to Gustav and one to Russ, and then you have the 93 kg battle all over again.
only with Russ in it. Yeah, because if Taylor had broken the world record at North Americans, then you could do an amazing 83 kilo battle with Jurens, Joby, Taylor, like throw Taylor in there this time and like you focus on the 83s. But with Taylor not making it, if you go all in on the 93s, now this depends on what Gustav does at World Games. If Gustav doesn't have a very good World Games, it becomes more difficult to sell that. But if
You think
Gustav
so?
crushes, what's that? Sorry,
Because Gustav was like one lift away, like probably 5 kilos away
100%. Yeah,
from
yeah.
doing it.
I agree. The problem is it's just like boxing or MMA where people
You're as
remember your
good as
last
your last
performance.
fight. Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Got
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
got you.
hard to get that out of people's memory, unfortunately. It's almost better to like sit it out and come back
Yeah,
stronger
yeah, yeah.
than right. So
Yeah, I
if he
agree.
shows up at World Games, no matter what the situation, unfortunately, if he has a bad day, people are just going to be like, like it still might happen. It's just more difficult.
Yeah.
But if
Then
he
then
if
who
he
would you give it to?
if he has a bad day,
Yeah.
oh shit,
Like
that's a tough one.
120?
Hmm. I mean, if it's me and I'm allowed to do whatever, I'm giving it to Rondell Hunt. But
Yeah.
I mean, just I don't
But
know rules wise. He's got to do an
yeah,
international meet and
that's what I was about to say. I think he doesn't qualify for like a regional
right,
IPF event, right?
right. I mean,
Under those
honestly,
circumstances.
yeah, it's phew, I got to really think about because Jesus didn't even qualify. It's
He didn't?
no,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
that's huge. I don't know,
yeah.
man. I got to really think about that. I'd have to really think about what that one to give you a good, honest answer. I'd have to go over every single weight class and whom I
I have
think
one.
might do it. What's that?
Ade, Ade.
I think it'd be good. I think it'd be good. The only thing is, um, he went to the last Sheffield. He did this Worlds. You're kind of replicating for the third time in a row him and Joe B, which is fine in
Yeah,
in,
but
in
every time
Germans.
he's one pull away.
Like it's good. I'm not saying it's not good. For instance, the only difference for Russ versus Emil, we haven't seen it yet. So the reason why Russ and Gustav over and over and over, they're always good, but inserting Russ is because it's new and it's like, oh my God, what does this look like? Is good as well. If you do the same matchups over and over and over and over, there will be a point where it's a little stale. We've seen it. I think Ade's phenomenal. I'd be happy with it, but I also would like a little bit of spice where I haven't seen that before. Ooh, this is what Agatha's doing by jumping in all these other weight classes, and you're like, what the hell is that going to look like? Like, wow, really? It's interesting. If you do the same thing over and over and over rematches, it still can be good, but you do want at least one new person in the mix to make it spicy. I'd be good. I'd be game with Ade. To answer your question, I'd be game for Ade to
Yeah.
jump in there because he is one pull away. And eventually he might get that pull and pull it off, no pun intended. But Russ, for me, I agree with you. I mean, if it's not Russ, what are we doing here? Like you
Yeah.
bring Russ to Sheffield. Oh my God, you bring Russ to Sheffield after what he just did, and with what Gustav and Emil said on the King of Lifts studio podcast when I had to ask them about the
What did they
showdown with
say?
Russ. They were like, let me show you. Let me bring this up. Dude,
Oh.
it is the most European style answer you could possibly get. Let me let me get this freaking thing. Okay, here it is. I will share my screen here. And I'll share with sound. I think you see that, sir?
Yeah. Oh, I like the Russ see y'all boys soon.
You see, you
Yeah.
s- you see that he one second. Russ comments, see you
Yeah.
boys soon. And it
I
was
saw
like
that.
such fire comment. See you
Yeah.
boys soon. And it's oh shit. I love with the European accents. We'll be prepared. You know,
I
he
was
is
about to
welcome.
say you asked Emil, like probably the most stone cold face guy in powerlifting, are you intimidated by Russ?
Yeah. Well, like, because I'm fishing. Give me my
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
bites. I'm doing my
yeah,
damn thing.
yeah,
I resaid the same question three different ways trying to find my sound bites, and I got them. I got them, Playboy. But it helps hype it. So when you do that, and then Russ does what he just did at the North American Pan American Championships, breaking the world record, and Russ saying, "I'll see you boys soon." You because Russ is not done when it comes to this. When it comes to like marketing and pumping up showdowns, Russ knows like these are the guys. That Sheffield to be freaking bonkers. This is
yeah,
where all my you have to do it.
yeah. It's exciting, but I think honestly, I would like a like three-way battle like Russ, Emil, and Gustav because Gustav won Sheffield the year prior, and he was like one pull away from winning. So I think, and also if the rule was still intact, would he get like the automatic invite? No, because it would have been for this year Sheffield.
Honestly, I think Gustav as well. I would love Gustav, Emil, and Russ. I think you go all in on
Yeah,
93s. Unless
yeah,
Gustav has a horrible day at World Games, I don't see why you wouldn't. And even then, I personally agree with you. Do it anyways, as long as like it's not like it would have to be a really bad World Games performance for them not to. But if he does good at World Games, bring him over. Go all in on the 93s, and let's freaking see Russ, Gustav, and Emil Rumble. And I don't even know who would win. It's literally flip a coin. It could go either way. And
yeah,
Emil's your
yeah.
boy. He's a silent worker.
That's what I was about to say.
I
Like
know, I know you, I know you.
obviously, I'm going to root for my guy. Obviously. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think it would be a fantastic show for the community and for the fans for sure.
yeah. We'll see what happens, man. I'm super excited. When's the next time we're going to see you on the platform now that you're going 74?
So my 74 kg debut will be end of October, Silent Worker Meet, and you'll be here to commentate that.
You damn right, dude. I'm freaking
Yeah.
pumped. I'm freaking
We have
pumped.
a good lineup. We have a good lineup. Like we should have Emil, Durance, uh can't remember off the top of my head. I think Chiara should also be here.
Mm.
We have a good lineup. And also we have very good French lifters. We have a new 83 that just totaled 8:15, I think.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So very good dude. Coco should be back on the platforms then also trying to get Leah to compete. We will have a good
Oh,
lineup. We'll have a good lineup.
dude, even if you got, first off, I want to see Coco back, pull
Yeah.
himself together, rally back because he's stronger than ever. A bad day, that's fine. Rally back. I want to see you as a 70, you as a 74 alone. Your debut. Let's see what's up. That'll be interesting. Everyone's going to want to see that. Jurens is Jurens. Emil's Emil. Kiara had a phenomenal Worlds as well. Kiara, like
Yeah.
right
Oh
down to
yeah.
last deadlift.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kiara's doing amazing. Um,
100%.
I mean, those are all like world class. Your silent worker meet is like world class. If Tiff comes back, I don't know what Tiff's schedule is like with her, if Tiff's there, but if Leah, even if you got Leah to just do a deadlift, like remember the one
Yeah,
silent
yeah,
worker,
yeah,
the
yeah.
first one I did, when
Yeah.
Leah had Leah's kitchen. Now Leah's kitchen's like all professional. It's like freaking Denny's or something. There, like she's got logos and everything, which is amazing. But this is the old school Leah's kitchen. She had a freaking apron, and she was with your mom in the freaking kitchen, like doing like I don't know, it was amazing. And then wholly off the cuff, she's like, man, fuck that. She put her apron away, left, went, got her gym bag or deadlift or singlet, came back and was like, I'm coming into the battle. And it's like, what? And you're like,
Yeah.
can we do this? Like, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
remember, I stood on the table and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, the
That
queen
was
is
wild.
back. And
Yeah.
Leah Bavois. And then the crowd went
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Leah just did deadlifts. Like, even if Leah did a surprise moment like that or something would be wild. Leah just comes
I
in for
think
deads.
I think this year, so we're back in Paris for this edition. I think we'll have a lot of people coming.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
so. I think so.
Jad was in the first one. She was there watching anyway. She was hanging
Yeah,
out.
yeah, 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 yeah. She was hanging
who
out.
who
Yeah,
knows who knows like her schedule if she wants to lift or I don't know everyone's schedules what they're all doing and who the frick knows. I know you guys got tons of competitions in Europe to choose from,
yeah,
but France has got killers, man, and it's a big show. It's a big show for everybody who could show up, and you get international lifters as well. Remember, you had Petrie and dude,
yeah,
you've had a lot of it's a pretty big one in Europe, from
yeah,
Americans to the whole nine.
yeah. I
We'll
think
see.
I think this year will be special.
100%. I'm freaking pumped as hell. Well, listen,
Yeah,
man.
so that will be my first comp as 74.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast. The announcement, and I'm freaking all eyeballs. Everyone's got to tune into Silent Worker to watch your debut as a 74 kilo lifter. Let's see what's cracking. I want to see you big, healthy, strong, and smash some weights out there. In your lineup, when you're ready to announce it, let me know. I would love to announce it because it's Silent Worker. You guys got killers in there. From world champions to freaking world medalists, multiple time world champions. It's going to be a freaking blast. So I'm pumped. Thank you for coming on the podcast as usual, dude. We crushed 2 hours, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and let's see what tomorrow brings, my friend. Let's
Thanks.
see.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, for everyone listening, as per usual, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and until next time, six pack Lapadat, six up, and we are out.